What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Monday. Going to have a big week. We're a few days into Titans training camp. Had a great day on Saturday at Nissan Stadium as the Titans had over 10,000 fans in attendance to watch an open practice. That was a lot of fun. A lot of topics to come out of that. Sam and I talked to some of you guys from the stands there on Saturday. Going to have some good conversation today, focusing on a little bit of Sam's notebook of observations and then some quarterback conversation because Will Levis continues to have an up and down start to Titans training camp. And Malik Willis, if you were there in the building on Saturday, you saw probably some of the best Malik Willis quarterback play we have seen yet over the last 2.5 years since he was drafted by the Tennessee Titans. We'll discuss all of that. Plus, it is the age game, and we'll see if I can get on the board because Jack got on the board last week. Sam, you're on the board, and you're like your first or second attempt.
Who did Jack get on the board with last week?
Was it Willem Dafoe?
I mean, that's a tough one.
It might have been Willem Dafoe. It's age 69. I think that's what it was. I think that was last week. So we're going to have a great conversation here today about a lot of different things. But Sam, tell the people what they got to do.
All right, before we get going this morning, make sure everybody shares the show. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and hit that share button in the bottom right corner. If you're watching on YouTube, take your YouTube link and send it to a friend. Send it in a group chat. Find a Titans fan in your life and let them know, hey, A to Z Sports is talking Titans with updates from training camp about your quarterbacks. You got to tune in. Share the show. That's the best way to continue to grow this A to Z Sports family and help us out here before we kick things off on a Monday morning.
All right, let's get it going officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Sam Phelan of A to Z Sports.com, and we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Got to thank our sponsors who make everything happen for us on Facebook, Instagram, and more, and that is Wilson County Hyundai, wilsoncountyhyundai.com if you want to go to make that a part of your new car buying process. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic care, and Farm Bureau Health Plans, fbhp.com/ATOZ. All right, I think we've got a Facebook issue. This has happened a couple times over the last week or so, and I don't know why it's happening. So Facebook's got a problem with how they're taking some of these live videos. I don't know why it's happening, but we've seen this a couple times. And so Facebook, I don't know why it's happening, but I will just say I will share the YouTube link in the Facebook chat because there's really nothing we can do about this, unfortunately. I don't know why. You can go hate it Zuckerberg all you want. I will do my best here live on the show to see if I can get a Facebook YouTube comment. But yeah, you might be seeing us in like real form. So Sam,
that's kind of I'm checking it out on my phone right now, and that's kind of how I'm seeing it as well. So
yeah, so I don't know why that's happening. It's happened to Buck a couple times on prime time as well. So I think this is the first time it's happened on the morning show. So I'm not really sure why it's happening, but there it is. It's happening. So Sam, we will try to fight through all of this.
Yeah, either continue to check us out in real form on Facebook, or you can hop over to the YouTube or do whatever you want to do. It doesn't change the fact that we can still have a good conversation this morning.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know why, but it's been strange. But Sam, we're going to go ahead and get to your observation notebook from Titans practice on Saturday because there are a lot of things to get to from Saturday's practice. But before we do all of that, I'm going to tell you guys about our new sponsor for training camp this summer, and that is Smoky Mountain Tops. If you're thinking about updating your kitchen or bath countertops, call the pros at Smoky Mountain Tops. Family owned and operated for 30 years. Smoky Mountain Tops has installed over 100,000 projects. And if you've been to Bridgestone Arena or Neyland Stadium, you've seen Smoky Mountain Tops at work, and they want the opportunity to earn your business. And Smoky Mountain Tops is proud to offer the luxurious Handstone Opimio Quartz collection as seen in their studios in both Nashville and Knoxville. Handstone Quartz is known for their quality and exceptional design. Over 50 colors and unique patterns to draw inspiration from. Collection has depth, translucent qualities, and offering one-of-a-kind possibilities for any design environment. That's the Handstone Opimio Quartz collection. So call Smoky Mountain Tops to schedule an appointment and see the beautiful Handstone Opimio Quartz, 615-922-6539. Tell them you heard them on A to Z Sports, or check them out online at SmokyMountainTops.com. So, Sam, I will toss it to you because there was a lot of observations to be made at Titans practice. And so I will let you take it away here to kind of unload your notebook on the audience today.
Hey, listen, so going through my notes, the number one note that I have, which we will talk about a little bit later on in the show, was the success of Malik Willis at practice. Austin, practice on Saturday was basically a long form of what the Titans do normally on an average training camp practice over at St. Thomas Sports Park. You have your stretching, you have your individual period, you have a special teams period, and then practice wraps up with 7-on-7 for a good chunk, and then finishes with situational 11-on-11. In this particular instance, the Titans did 11-on-11, working on third down scenarios. So 3rd and 10, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 8. Full team. This is a full 11-on-11, a really good chance to look at your quarterbacks. And Malik Willis was the one who really shined in his opportunities. I noted that he only had one incompletion in his 11-on-11 period throws, and that one incompletion was like a 40-yard bomb that was placed perfectly to Bryce Oliver up the left sideline. Fell incomplete because Bryce Oliver dropped it. So it was a really good day for Malik overall. He found Kyle Phillips a few times, made a couple of really nice throws outside the numbers, back shoulder throws, threw one on the run that he threaded the needle between the defense. I think you would agree, and a lot of the media there on the field level, Austin, was kind of looking at each other saying this might be the best we've ever seen Malik look in a Titans practice in terms of consistency in his accuracy, but also just the aggressive approach that he took to throwing the football. Like Malik was back there and just throwing the ball, fitting it into tight windows, and kind of letting his physical ability take over, which was nice and refreshing to see. Would you agree that this was about as good as you've seen Malik?
Yeah, I think I said it out loud to somebody whoever I was standing next to. I was like, I think this is probably one of the best Malik Willis performances that I've seen. And I think it's not just about Saturday, but I think I mentioned last week after one of the practices, maybe it was the first practice, when Malik had a bad shotgun snap, when Daniel Brunskill, who was the backup center, was out sick. You had Rupchich, who is a offensive lineman playing center, who's not a center, kind of roll a snap back to Malik in a shotgun. Instead of a panic that turned into a disaster play, it was he picked up the ball, looked downfield, figured it out, and was decisive and escaped throughout the pocket and ran for about 15 to 20 yards down the sideline. So I've seen a lot of progress from Malik Willis. Now we'll talk about this later in the show. Does it matter? Like what can Malik do with said progress? But yeah, absolutely. Malik has taken to the coaching. The coaching has clearly started to work. Where in 2024 was kind of always that circled year. When they drafted Malik Willis, it's like, well, let's circle 2024 for Malik. Year 3, that's when you expect it, right? Here we are, but again, what's the reality of what this can turn into?
Yeah. My next note, Austin, you can probably shine a lot of light on because it's a guy that I haven't seen a ton of until recently because I was not out there for OTAs and minicamp and whatnot. But Shane Ray has been a name that keeps popping up. The Titans just signed him. They just signed him a few days ago, brought him into training camp. But in both of the practices I've been out there after they've signed Shane Ray, I found myself looking at my roster being like, Shane Ray making another play. Shane Ray's in the backfield again. So, yeah, I think he had a TFL and a sack during team period for the Titans defense. And I know that this is somebody you're a little bit bullish on and really like or were impressed with when you saw him this summer.
Yeah, I saw Shane Ray at the rookie mini camp when they had some tryout players. They brought in 2 former first-round picks, Shane Ray and William Jackson, who was a first-round pick in Cincinnati I believe that was also pre-Callahan being in Cincinnati. But Callahan was with Shane Ray in Denver when he was there back in the Peyton Manning days. And we've talked about it a lot this summer. You could use another edge rusher. I thought about Yannick Ngakoue. That didn't happen. And, there's some other things that we've kind of floated around there. But Shane Ray, from the very first time I saw him at that rookie tryout, I mean, he looked like a man among rookies. Like, you can definitely tell when somebody's almost 30 years old or 30 years old and looking like they're playing against some rookie tryout guys. Quick, explosive, knows what he's doing, decisive. And I like what Shane Ray is, and he absolutely made a couple plays on Saturday. And I'm glad they brought him back because I think he could be a guy that makes this team as your third or fourth edge rusher. And, Rashad Weaver's had his issues. Shane Ray is a more explosive, twitchy. He's kind of like a Harold Landry clone, same type of body type. I think similar skill sets. But I like Shane Ray and what he can bring to this defense.
I mean, he had 4 sacks as a rookie for the 2015 Broncos, won the Super Bowl that year as a rookie, bounced up to 8 sacks in his second career season. Only played 4 years in the NFL. Played in 17, played in 2018, was a free agent after that. They declined his 5th-year option. He signed with the Baltimore Ravens in 2019 and was released after roster cuts. Austin, he then doesn't get another professional contract until February of 2021. He goes to the Toronto Argonauts in the Canadian Football League. He played with them until the end of his contract, which was February 14th of 2023. Last summer, goes to Bills minicamp for a tryout, signed to a deal, and he was placed on injured reserve on August 21st, released on August 26th. It's weird because Shane Ray has not played in an NFL game since the 2018 season. That was 6 years ago now. 6 years ago. But he is looking like an NFL player in practice. So intriguing, like super interesting that like guy to continue watching now that he's healthy and in camp with the Titans. So that's kind of the rundown on Shane Ray, as Joshua Hoffman was asking. Yeah, it's been since 2018 since he last played in the league. Other notes, Austin, Josh Whyle staying very busy. People are getting very bullish on Josh Whyle. There's a lot of momentum on, hey, is Josh Whyle the tight end one? I have some thoughts on this, and maybe this is a show that we can do later this week, Austin, on exactly what Josh Whyle's role within this Titans offense is. But I would say early returns are as advertised for Whyle in terms of how frequently he's being targeted in these team periods. And I think it bodes well for his 2024 season.
Yeah, I like Josh Whyle a lot. And I think he is finding a role in this offense. I think he's going to be somebody that we're going to see a lot more than maybe expected. Whenever you're trying to do your stat projections, I think Josh Whyle will be higher in the targets of opportunities for pass catchers than maybe we all thought at this point. So Josh Whyle continues to show up, catches the balls when they come his way. It's going to be a good battle to see who wins the majority of the reps, who has more snaps this season, Josh Whyle or Chig. That's a topic we'll put in our back pocket for another day because I think that's a really good conversation. We need more data, though. We need to get deeper into camp because I think Brian Callahan was asked about Whyle last week, and part of his answer was like, well, pads come on next week, so we'll see what happens after pads come on because Josh Whyle is a former receiver turned tight end who needs to be strong when the pads are on, which happens tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, get some of this spam out of here in the chat if you can handle that, Austin.
Yeah, I'll jump on it.
My next note here is all about Will Levis, and this is kind of our final note. I've got a couple little things that Jeffrey Simmons was batting down passes and whatnot, but this next string of Will Levis is really the note that is going to segue us into our topic here, because Will Levis was great to start practice in this 7-on-7 period. His first set of 4 quarterbacks take 4 snaps. And then they rotate out. 4 snaps, rotate out. His first set of 4 in 7-on-7, 4 for 4. Completions over the middle, capped off with a beautifully thrown deep ball to Tony Pollard up the left sideline. Pollard beats Roger McCreary with the double move. It's a difficult throw for Levis to make, kind of across his body, and it's perfect. The perfect shot from Levis, and everybody you got a little bit of a pop at Nissan Stadium of people saying, hey, Will Levis, how about Will Levis? That's damn Will Levis, man, as Jeffrey Simmons would say. His second set was pretty good as well. Kenneth Murray had a PBU, but was overall pretty effective. And then, Austin, we transitioned to 11 on 11, and Levis really, really struggled during this period, practicing third down in 11 on 11. Granted, there was a lot of pressure coming at him. Credit to the Titans defensive front. Jeffrey Simmons and Tavondre Sweat in particular getting a lot of push from the interior defensive line. But Levis goes 0 for 4 in his first period, first set of 4 snaps in 11 on 11. His first snap, a deep ball to Calvin Ridley that is very much underthrown, comes out of his hand like a duck, is picked off by Trey Avery, who's getting more opportunity on the field with Snead doing load management and Cheeto Awuzie doing out with a calf injury. Trey Avery's out there more frequently. He picks off Will Levis. He undershoots Calvin Ridley by 5 to 10 yards, like a really bad throw. Calvin Ridley hurts his ankle on the play, which Brian Callahan says, hey, he's fine. Don't worry about it. And then proceeds to overthrow the next 2 passes and finishes off the period with a throwaway. It was a rough stretch, a really rough stretch. And so now I think I look at Levis and say, hey, there have been some really special throws at times, but the start to camp has been really up and down.
Yeah.
We talked after practice 1 about some operational issues, about a couple deflected passes that could have or should have been intercepted. He throws this pick at Nissan Stadium in front of the fans. I don't think it has been as clean as I would have liked to see. And so up and down start for Will Levis. I think that's fair. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's absolutely fair. I really do believe that he's made high-level plays, and then he's made bad plays or bad throws. And so I want to dive into this a little deeper because there's a situation that I think is happening from what I've seen through the 3 training camp practices that I've had my eyes on, plus what we saw in the OTAs and minicamp periods in May and June, that I'm kind of drawing to my conclusion about this. But I do want to involve the chat a little bit more here. So we'll do our game of big deal, no small deal or no deal. Big deal, small deal or no deal. That Will Levis is off to an up and down start to Titans training camp. It's not just about one practice in Nissan Stadium, but Will Levis up and down start to Titans training camp. Big deal, small deal or no deal. I'll get my theory in here too, and we want your comments. Big deal, small deal, no deal. Will Levis is up and down start to Titans training camp. But first, Farm Bureau Health Plans will help you out and get you an up for better health coverage and a down for the rate that you're playing. How about that, Samuel? Yeah, I did that right there.
I like that.
FBHP.com/ATOZ is where you should turn for your health coverage change, because they will help you out with better coverage and also lower that rate for you. They've done it with Zach. They've done it with several of our A to Z employees as well. And I've been saying this for a couple of weeks. I'm going to continue to do this until the regular season kicks off. If you want a direct line, a direct email contact to Farm Bureau Health Plans, DM me on Twitter. That's A to Z Sport, Austin Stanley 81, Austin Stanley 81. DM me on Twitter, and I'll be able to give you that exact contact right there. So go check them out online, just like Tennesseans have been doing for almost 78 years. FBHP.com/ATOZ.
Today's show powered by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM and BetMGM.com to get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. Whatever your first bet wager amount is goes back into your account in the form of a bonus bet if your first bet misses. MLB is back from the All-Star break, approaching the trade deadline, so some fun there and some players shifting teams. I'll have a no-run first inning for you guys later in the show if you want to get involved with BetMGM, or can you bet on the Olympics? You have to be able to bet on the Olympics,
can you bet on the Olympics? Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, go bet on the Olympics, but do it with BetMGM. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports, the king of sportsbooks.
All right, so we just asked the question. Will Levis is up and down start to training camp for the Titans. Is this a big deal, small deal, or no deal? Sam, I will let you head to the chat. Also, hit that like button. Need more likes on the show. Like it. Hit the like button. But big deal, small deal, or no deal? What's the chat saying this morning?
Jaron says small deal. Joshua, small deal. No deal from NM Titans. Small deal from Titans Kyle. No deal from Kaz. Small deal. No deal from Billy. A big deal, says Linwood. Darius, Willie, and King JP all say it's a small deal. Eric, Rashid say no deal. Willie says it's a big deal. We've got a small deal from Ken. We've got a small deal from Caleb. A no deal from James. Small deal from Brad and Joshua. Caesar says big deal. We've got no deal from Katie. A huge deal, says Hill. A huge deal, going above the scale there. Ira Hoshi's going to plead the fifth, which I respect. Jody says small deal. Top tier says no deal. We've got no deal. It's a new offense, and they don't have pads on, says Pistol Ramsey. Do you think pads affects quarterback play?
Ooh, maybe.
Small deal, says Mitch. MB says no deal. Are we being serious? It's a new offense. Andre says small deal. More interested in how he looks in the preseason. So we got a wide range here. Some people say it's a huge deal. Some people say it's a complete no deal. Austin, where do you fall here? Does this matter to you?
It matters, but I'm going to say no deal here, Sam, because I think this is what a training camp should look like out of the gates, because there's a theme. Will Levis, to start practice on Saturday with 7-on-7, looked what? What was your thought? On 7-on-7, Will Levis was what?
Good.
Solid. Good, right?
Here's the thing, though. I hate when people use 7-on-7 to get hyped up. Your quarterback should go perfect in 7-on-7. Realistically, you've got 6 wide receivers running routes against man coverage. Someone should be open.
Well,
you should be able to make.
It's not 6. It can't be. It's got to be. It can't be 6. That's illegal formations.
You got
it's just
6.
not no. You have 5. You have 5 pass options going out there.
That's
7.
6.
No,
your running back comes out and runs a route.
Sam, how do you do personnel? What's 11 personnel? 3 wide receivers.
I understand that, but I'm saying 7-on-7. The drill 7-on-7.
The quarterback and the center count in 7-on-7.
True.
That's
okay.
Yeah,
So 5.
there you go.
Yeah,
So
I can't do math.
5. Yeah, man. So you get 5 pass catching options against 7 defensive.
Your quarterback should be very effective in set. It's like when you celebrate, a wide receiver won their one-on-ones.
No, it's different than that, because it is less that, but what I'm getting point to is that Will Levis, he was throwing on, it's not like he was back there 7-on-7 and playing backyard football and letting every guy run open after 5 seconds of coverage. He was throwing on time, accurate, stepping into his throws, and making good, quick decisions. Where it went wrong was 11-on-11, and specifically when they did third down drills on Saturday at Nissan Stadium, because the pass rush was involved and the offensive line was involved, and Will Levis was bad in that. And so I think why it's a no deal for me is that because clearly the offensive line is what caused the problem. The offensive line and the pass rush combined caused Will Levis to have a awful 4 consecutive snaps in 11-on-11 third down work. I'll play a clip from Brian Callahan when asked about this particularly, because on the first play, Levis threw a deep ball to Calvin Ridley. It was significantly underthrown. We're all like, what the heck happened to that ball? And then it was picked off by Trey Avery. And then some other plays went wrong where he got sacked a couple times. He threw the ball away. He had to scramble. It did not go very well. So here's Brian Callahan on that third down 11-on-11 sequence.
Third down, Pierce. Those were all third downs. The ball came out of his hand bad. We had a shot at the route. Didn't do a great job in protection on 2 of those, I think. And, it wasn't our best day on third down. And, again, Denard presents a lot of problems, and the defense did a good job. So, from my point, that's good to see. And offensively, we got some things to clean up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the pass rush was bad, and Denard Wilson was throwing a bunch at him. Kenneth Murray probably would have eaten Will Levis's face if that was a real game. So you're blitzing, you're sending guys, you're throwing smoke. And there are plays, Sam, that you watch where a defender comes through so quick and so clean that you're like, Will Levis had no chance. And we saw that last week with the first practice where Jamal Adams and all these other guys, Kenneth Murray and Cedric Gray, Arden Key, are making plays in the run game in the backfield. And we know to me, it's a no deal because this is an offensive line who is coming together for the first time with a new system, a quarterback who's learning the new system, and a defense that's being as aggressive as they want, and they are. And so you've got defenders who are highly athletic, veteran guys who are attacking the football. It is so much easier to attack the football early in training camp and look good than it is to be a collective offense to look good in the first week of camp, the first 3 days of camp. And so I think it's a no deal because this is what we expect early on in training camp.
So the reason this can't be a no deal for me, I think, is pointed out really well by Anthony here. It's not that he was missing reads in a new offense. It's that he was missing throws, Austin. It's the fact that the ball came out of his hand bad, like Brian Callahan said. And it wasn't just the one play, because the next 2 tries where he tried to throw the ball over the middle, he overshot his guy. And luckily, the ball fell incomplete and wasn't intercepted. But those are the danger plays that turn into turnovers. And then on another 3rd down, he was, rolling right and threw the ball away.
Yeah,
so
it was bad. It was bad. But my thought is,
but the quarterback being bad in the part where you play real football matters, right?
Sure.
I don't care about 7-on-7. I want to see him go through progressions in 11-on-11 against the defense. And
again,
because of pressure?
Yes, that is, and that's my answer.
You got to deal with pressure, man.
No, I know that, but it was the 3rd practice that was open to the media, and so it's like the 5th day of camp. Like they reported it on Tuesday, and we're talking about 3 practices that we've seen on Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday, with a walkthrough on Friday. And so why it's a no deal for me is because of the calendar. It's not even August yet, guys. It's July 29th. So that's why I say it's a no deal, because I expect Denard Wilson's defense to be way more ahead and win when having aggressive play calls. If Denard Wilson's defense was trying to play coverage, then I would expect it to be more balanced. But because they're playing aggressive, because that's what they're going to do.
That's the defense.
I know. But it's easier to do that. It's so much easier to go out there and say, oh, my assignment on this play is to blitz through this gap. That's way easier of an install to pick up and to execute than it is for what the offense is trying to do at this point of camp. That's why it's a no deal.
I'm confused by that argument, because they're bringing pressure at him, and this is their style of defense, and he's inaccurate with his throwing against pressure. This is not the first time that we've seen Will just kind of not look great during the team period. It's looked a little off. Occasionally there's flashes of really good throws, but it hasn't clicked yet. So, I'm not freaking out about this where, like you said, we're 3 or 4 days into practice or into training camp. Like, there's so much time for this group to gel. There's so much time for Will to figure it out. But with how much rides on Will Levis, with what rides on his shoulders as an individual this season, after all the Titans have done this offseason, this does matter to me some. This has to at least be a small deal to look and say the throws are not consistent right now. So there's time for that to get fixed, and I hope it does get fixed. But I don't even want to hear the pads argument. It should be easier to throw accurately without pads on. So, we can't just ignore it completely. I think it's silly to ignore it completely. If we're gonna read into Malik Willis's success and say, look at all the growth and development that Malik has had, which is you can't pick and choose. If you're gonna value what Shane Ray does or what so-and-so is doing in practice and all the good things and be like, ooh, look at this guy, you also have to be slightly concerned about the players that are not doing that. And Will Levis right now is one of those players that is not doing that. And unfortunately, he's the most important player on the team. So it is at least a small deal, and that's all it is, because we're not freaking out, because it's early in training camp and there's a lot of time. And I still believe in Will Levis as the quarterback of this team, but I would be lying if I said I didn't watch some of these practices and go, what the heck, Will, what are we doing?
Yeah. I just think it's so early in camp. This is a lot of things are new. And the offensive line is just as much as at fault for Will Levis's inaccurate throws when pressure's in his face, because pressure has been on him fast, right? In these situations, it has been right there immediately after the snap. Now, there's been times, and this was Friday's practice. Remember, Sam, when he kind of rolled towards the right side and threw a ball towards us? He might have been sacked, but it was a great throw to the sideline while facing pressure. And
it wasn't even like a rollout. It was like he was pressured like off his back foot, kind of like spinning a ball. And like that's the point, right? And that's why it says up and down, right? Because it's so easy for us to look at a practice at strictly the team periods of these practices. If you took just those reps, you probably say Levis has been down, not a ton of up. But if you really watch some of the throws that he has made, there are some flashes of like, I have no idea how he fit that ball into that window so perfectly. And he does have that natural ability. That is the story of Will Levis up until this point in his NFL career. Is for all of the wows, there's a wow with his like performance. But I've been going from impressed to being like, what the heck was that?
Yeah. I mean, look, I just think I've watched a lot of training camps, and I've watched a lot of quarterbacks go through training camps, and I've seen guys who are aggressive like Will Levis, like, I'm just going to name quarterbacks. Do not take this as like me comparing them or me saying anything about these quarterbacks. I'm just talking about aggressive versus conservative quarterback play. Guys like Zach Mettenberger, guys like Charlie Whitehurst, guys that push the football down the field compared to guys like Marcus Mariota who don't. I think you see the aggressive guys it's the context of the whole picture. A new O-line, a new coaching staff, new offensive linemen, new wide receivers that you're throwing to. Everything's so new about Levis that it's going to take the entire thing more time to gel than 5 days of camp. Why It's a no deal for me is it's so early, and it's just so much easier for a defense to be way ahead of the offense at this point in time. And that's across the league. And Aaron Rodgers went on Pardon My Take and made some headlines last week or the week before talking about how he hates, this part of camp because the coaches are colluding against the offensive players, right? Like that's kind of the point is the defense knows the offensive script. The point is for the defense to create pressure on the offensive script to make it as hard as possible. So when the defense knows exactly what's coming, they know what blitzes and what coverages and what schemes to call up on that particular play for what the offensive script is for that practice in order to be productive. You're not just trying to go out there and make it easy and just set up the perfect defensive looks to execute your offensive plays. The whole point of training camp is to strain. And right now, the Titans offense, every person on the Titans offense is under a lot of strain because of what the defense is doing on purpose.
Yeah, and I mean, I saw a couple people in the chat point out as well, like the thing with the pads would be you don't know how good your offensive line truly is until the pads come on, because that's when physicality really begins to show. And so maybe that makes the offense look better once things are more physical. But as far as Will Levis executing throws, like Brian Callahan said it in that video, they had a shot on the route.
Oh, he was there.
Calvin Ridley was open. It was there.
He beat Trey Avery. Calvin Ridley greater than Trey Avery every snap, except for when it's underthrown by 15 yards.
And it was underthrown by 15 yards. And so that's where I'm like, I do want to be clear, right? I believe, Austin, you can remind the people, I believe in Will Levis. Like I've been a believer in Will Levis. I just don't like ignoring. I think fans, media, whoever you are, this time of year, part of the reason every NFL fan base before week 1 is like, yeah, 10-7. We'll go 10-7. It's like they're 9-7 back in the day before they added the 17th game. Part of the reason everybody believes they're going to be good is because we have this tendency to, hyperfixate on all of these positives throughout camp and try and ignore negatives and chalk it up as, it's camp. It's still early. And I just don't want to fully ignore anything. I think if we're going to pay attention to the positives, we also have to give credence to the negatives when they do show. And so far, it has been some negatives for Will Levis. So I do think it matters. It is something to watch. It's something that makes me slightly more uncomfortable than I was when camp started. It is not the end of the world or a big deal, or it does not affect my opinion on Will Levis this season and Will Levis as the quarterback of the Titans. But it is something that I'm noting and monitoring moving forward.
Okay, yeah, I just say it's a no deal just because I'm half expecting this to be the situation, understanding what the pressure that they're putting on this offense, and that the offensive line has work to do. And when the pads come on, I do think that'll help the O-line because it's easier to anchor when you've got pads and you can do other things like that and use your full strength rather than just wearing the spider pads or whatever they had on Saturday. And the pads come on here on Tuesday for Titans practice tomorrow, as Sam and I will be back outside. Hopefully we'll have some new technology in the mail today that'll make those training camp parking lot shows a little bit better for you all there too. All right. So I just want to remind everybody, we are having some Facebook Live issues. It's not our fault. Facebook Live is dealing with some stuff on mobile. I've got it pulled up on my computer and it looks fine. But if you're just seeing me or the middle of the screen, that's because of Facebook Live having an issue. I did pin the YouTube link at the top of the Facebook chat there. So Sam, let's talk about Malik Willis because like we said at the beginning of the show on your observations, Malik Willis had what I think was one of his better practices as a Titan quarterback on Saturday. But first, let me tell you guys all about the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to know who you can go to and the experts to trust. And that is the Bone and Joint Institute because they have their main campus in Franklin, right off of I-65 and Highway 96, where they have all the resources and experts under one roof. That's clinic, imaging, rehab, surgery center, everything right there. Or they also have satellite clinics and rehab facilities across Williamson County, and they continue to grow to make sure that they have the best up-to-date equipment and services for you throughout your entire injury recovery process. So go check them out online, book an appointment like I've done several times over the last several years, boneandjointtn.org.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM and the BetMGM app. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up with BetMGM to get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets when your first bet misses. Whatever you place your first wager, whatever that amount is on BetMGM, when you use the bonus code ATOZ Sports, you can get that money back into your account as a bonus bet if you lose. So you get two chances to win big. Austin mentioned yes, you definitely can bet on the Olympics. So I might have to do that today with BetMGM. You can do that today, or Major League Baseball still in full swing. I'm going to go ahead and fire off a no-run first inning play here. And I'm going to go Chicago Cubs and Cincinnati Reds in Cincinnati. Carson Spires and Jamison Tyone going at each other. 6:10 p.m. start on that game. So that is my no-runs first inning play for all of you guys today on BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks.
Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions, qualification, eligible requirements. First online room money wager only. Bonus bets expire in 7 days. And for problem game of sport, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. Okay, Sam. So this was last Tuesday. Brian Callahan was asked about the backup quarterback job, and he had this answer, and I think a lot of us rolled our eyes at it.
Talked about Mason and Malik competing. What's that look like maybe from a rep standpoint, how you handle them?
Yeah, it'll still be pretty split evenly. Obviously at some point, just like all position battles, you do have to make a decision. And a lot of that's going to be how they play. They're going to get opportunities to play in games, and that goes a long way in the evaluation process. But also just the performance in practice every day, the consistency. They'll both have equal opportunity to establish themselves as the backup quarterback, and I'm looking forward to that competition.
So,
equal
Sam,
opportunity.
First question: do you think through the 3 practices we've watched, would you say it is equal opportunity between Mason Rudolph and Malik Willis?
Yes, I would say they've gotten the same number of reps.
Are you surprised by that?
No, not this early.
I am.
But is this off? Like, is this unusual from what we've seen? Typically, you go 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 2, 1, 3. And so the third quarterback is waiting forever to get his reps in, but he's at the end of the day getting the same number of chances as the two. So I'm not sure that that's unusual for this time of year.
So back in May and June, I feel like when I was at those practices, I was watching a lot of Levis 5 reps, Rudolph 4 reps, Willis 3 reps.
Okay. That is unique from, like, that is not how things were with Vrabel here. Vrabel, it was a lot of what we're seeing now, 4, 4, 4, 4, but going 1, 2, 1, 3.
Yes. And so I am surprised that it has been equal. Now, it is still Levis, Rudolph, Levis, Willis. It hasn't been Levis, Willis, Levis, Rudolph.
Yeah.
So it's still Levis is the third. Willis is the third behind Mason Rudolph right now. So Saturday's practice, I thought Malik looked very dynamic in throwing the football. I mean, there was times where we've been watching Malik Willis and he just wouldn't throw the ball.
Yeah.
I think there is a lot of dramatic progression here for Malik. And you talked to Malik Willis after practice, and I thought this conversation you had with Malik was very eye-opening in the way that we talked about it afterwards as well. So here is you with Malik after practice on Saturday.
Like you say, this is my third offense, and I've been able to retain the information from all three and just learning the entire process. I made my mistakes, but I feel like I've learned a lot, and I could just feel more comfortable making certain decisions.
What do you think is most different about Malik Willis in 2024 from our previous two iterations we've seen?
I mean, y'all haven't seen much. So, I mean, you can see what you can, and you can make your best narrative, your best decision on what it was. But at the same time, I haven't played a lot of football at this level. But all I've been doing is try to work hard and keep learning.
What have you been told by Callie and by the staff about, like, your situation on this team right now and the opportunity that you have?
They told me I'm competing for the backup job, and I'm just doing my best to do that every day.
Yeah. I mean, Malik Willis, a couple interesting things there. Austin says, third offense, and he's been able to take pieces, pull little notes and stuff from each one of them to now get to a situation in this season where he feels comfortable making certain decisions, were his words. I feel more comfortable making certain decisions. And then the second piece is, he says, well, you haven't seen much, which you could make an argument applies to his on-field performance and his just ability to get on the field. He hasn't been on the field playing a ton of football at this level. And for a guy who came out of Liberty as a raw product, who had never really taken snaps under center, who had never played against an NFL speed defense, it makes sense that it wasn't smooth for Malik and that the progression, when there has been progression, has been gradual at best because he hasn't played a ton of football to get exposed to this kind of a thing. And so now in year 3, you start to see him make more significant jumps. And I think he believes he's only scratched the surface of what he's capable of. And he believes he has a lot more to show people that could come with more opportunity. Now, I would hope he thinks that way. I would hope he believes he's better than the product that we have seen so far. And I'll remind people we've had moments like this from Malik Willis before. There have been preseason games that he's looked pretty good in where we've said, wow, he's made some progress. And then it kind of comes back. So I'm cautiously optimistic, on Malik's development thus far. But it is encouraging not just to see, hey, he looked very accurate. I think what you mentioned earlier, like the decisiveness is the biggest change in practices. I'm curious and hopeful that will transition into a preseason game and you see a different version of Malik where it's like, hey, dude, you throw an incompletion. All right, but throw the ball. Like I want to see this aggressive Malik because I do think there are a lot of tools here. And if he is more aggressive, his play, it would be significantly improved as a result.
Yeah, so there's some comments I want to get to because Justin points out that you haven't seen much. LOL. Oh, yeah, we did, Malik. Yes, we did. We saw you afraid to throw the rock, but he's throwing it now, right? And then Anthony says Willis equals great guy, not an NFL quarterback. I honestly think this is the most he's looked like an NFL quarterback that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And so more comments I wanted to get to here. Section 240 says answers sound more mature, maybe a sign of development. Bork says, refreshing to hear him openly saying he's competing to be the backup. That's what the staff told him. And so Billy says Vrabel's staff wasn't QB friendly. Every pass was a third down. And
that's also true.
Yeah, for sure. And so I also think to that point that Billy made, Vrabel, when Malik was in there, it was in a situation where Mike Vrabel couldn't afford to lose.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where you saw Mike Vrabel's staff choose other players rather than Malik to play quarterback. Like the reason why
Josh Dobbs.
Josh Dobbs came in because Vrabel had to win a game to go to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to play Will Levis, because of his job security, which obviously ended up being irrelevant overall because of other things. And so I think right now Malik Willis is actually being developed as a quarterback in the NFL with a quarterback-friendly offense, and we're seeing the dividends. We're seeing the response to that. He looks decisive, comfortable, and he's throwing the football with confidence. Some of the throws that he made, his most impressive throws are to the sideline, right? Like
outside of the numbers.
Outbreaking routes, dropping it in between coverages or over a defender with like layers and timing and touch and accuracy where guys making a great play. Now, he had Bryce Oliver drop one that he put right over his shoulder into the Gator arms. And he couldn't come up with a play, but beautiful throw by Malik. That's the most pretty throws that I've seen Malik Willis make combined in his time here.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I do think, the new offense can make life a little bit easier and simpler for Malik. Reminder that Brian Callahan in Cincinnati had success with a guy, Jake Browning, who had never really been an NFL quarterback until he had to be an NFL quarterback behind Joe Burrow. But Callie knows how to make life easy on his quarterbacks, make reads easier on quarterbacks. And I do think Malik has been able to pull things from, all right, here's a couple notes from Todd Downing's offense. Here's some notes about Tim Kelly's offense on what worked and what didn't work. And now you're in a Brian Callahan system catered to a quarterback that can be easier, simpler, where he is, as he said, more confident to make certain decisions. And then there's physical maturity where he is growing in his ability as a passer as well that makes him more capable. Now, the big question here is, will it transition and carry over into a preseason game with live reps? And if it does, how much does it matter? Because you did sign Mason Rudolph to be your backup quarterback. And Mason Rudolph is a good quarterback. Like, Mason Rudolph is a borderline starter that is one of the better backups in the league, probably. And you brought him in here to be one of the better backups in the league as an insurance policy in case Will Levis is not the guy, but you have a talented roster around him. So does it matter? Like, is there a world where Malik is the backup? And I think that's our next question here, Austin.
Yes. Yeah. So let's ask it now. What percentage chance does Malik Willis have to win the Titans backup job? What percentage chance does Malik Willis have to win the Titans backup job? So we want to get your answers on this. I do want to tell everybody, like the show. If you're watching on Facebook and you're battling through the weird, goofy reel setup on your phone, we know Facebook's live's having an issue, but still hit that like button for us. If you're on YouTube, please hit the like button as well. That does a lot for us and the show moving forward. So what percentage chance do you think Malik Willis has of winning the backup quarterback job over Mason Rudolph? So just to kind of throw this out there, if you are at 51% or higher, then you think he is the backup quarterback. Most likely, if it's
the favorite, if
it's
over
49
51
or lower, then you believe it would be Mason Rudolph, who they signed in the offseason. And Jason Brown says if Mason gets hurt, let's just assume health for everybody
You
involved.
said
So we
win
don't
the
have to do
job.
that.
So win the job.
Win
It's
the
not
job.
be the backup by default because of an
Yes.
injury.
Win
the job.
The job. Win, 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 win. All right. So Sam, to the chat you go. What's the, and look, I don't want to see 50%, guys. Come on. Pick a spot. 50% here or there. Don't get off of the 50% fence. So 51 or higher or 49 or lower. That's what we want to see here. So what percentage chance does Malik have to win the backup job? Sam, what's the chat saying?
Patrick says 100%.
Oh, come on.
Jay says 0. Jameson says 10. 10 from Steven and Randy. Brian says 59.9. He's right under that 50% mark. NM Titan says 0. 10% from JM Gonzalez. Scott says 3. Got 30% from Rashid and Eric. 35% from Take Rock. 9% from Mario. 25, 15, 30, 20, and even 50 from Jody. Luman's on the 100%. 20, 15, 15, 40. Curtis says 60. He's going on Willis's side here. 30 from Willie. 50 due to preseason play, says Pistol Ramsey. 40 from Brandon. 30 from Caleb. We've got 22, says Titans Kyle. 15, 10, 65, says Marcus. 45 from Daniel Perez. So most people, I think, are on the 0 to 49 scale here, Austin. But some numbers in like the 30 to 35 range, not super uncommon here. Are you giving Malik that large of a chance?
I'm going to say 22.5 because I couldn't figure out if I wanted to go 25% or 20. I'm going to say 22.5% chance to win the backup job. Look, I think they signed Mason Rudolph for a reason, right? Like,
yeah,
you know, that's who they think is the best backup option for them if something happens with a new work offensive line and Will Levis can't go, or something happens else to Levis during his play. And they think Mason Rudolph is a team who allowed the Pittsburgh Steelers to fight for playoff contention and actually make the playoffs last year, right? So I think Mason Rudolph is where the backup job is going to go, but I do think that Malik Willis is proving to have value to be on the 53-man roster, but it's 22.5% is where I'm going to go for Malik to win the job, and that might be even a little too generous.
I do think it's a little too generous. I'm going to go with 15. That's about as high as I can go here. I agree with you. I think they signed Mason Rudolph for a reason. Mason Rudolph is a guy who has started games in the NFL, which was a point of like it mattered to Brian Callahan. When we asked Brian Callahan what his criteria was for a backup quarterback before the Titans had a backup quarterback, he said, I need a guy who has played games before in the league, a guy who has experience, so that if we need to go to him, you feel good that you can put him in there and win with him for a week or 2 weeks. And so that is why they went to Mason Rudolph. I'll pull it up real quick because I don't actually remember the figure, but Mason Rudolph had success as a starter. He's 8-4-1 as a starting quarterback in the league with Pittsburgh. So this is a guy who's won games and who has had success. And you can't really replicate that in Malik Willis, even if he looks better than Mason Rudolph at times in preseason play. Like, I don't believe Brian Callahan when he says it will come down to how they play, unless Mason Rudolph stinks it up. And by the way, so far, Mason Rudolph has been pretty good too. Like, I think Mason Rudolph has looked really solid.
Yes,
so
I agree.
We're talking about Malik because Malik was more of a surprise, but I don't think Mason Rudolph has been bad by any means. He's been really good. Unless Mason Rudolph is just really horrible, I have a hard time seeing how Malik surpasses him when the Titans coaching staff values experience so much. I do agree with you, though. There is absolutely a path for Malik to play his way onto the roster and then maybe, shake up the depth chart further down the line. But out of training camp, I don't know.
I think the Titans have a chance to have a very interesting quarterback room, and I think it would be smart to keep Malik Willis around. If you see how much this progression he's had under the new coaching staff in a short 4 months, then imagine what it could be like for another year, because the Titans have Malik Willis for all of 2025 under a cheap contract too. And Levis is cheap. Mason Rudolph is fairly cheap as well. Like, it's one of the cheapest quarterback rooms in the entire NFL with 3 guys. So I think you keep them, because with the amount of quarterbacks that play in games in the NFL these days, having that emergency quarterback is valuable. And I think Malik Willis is kind of the perfect option for that. Somebody that if you're in a situation where the emergency quarterback is on the field, all hell is broken loose, and you just need a guy who can go out there and maybe has a little bit of magic up his sleeve just to see what can happen. Because you're in a bad spot if you need a quarterback on an emergency quarterback situation. So you just need somebody who can make something happen. And based on what we've seen from this offseason so far, Malik has started to make something happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'm very interested in seeing Malik Willis in the preseason. The way that I put it at the end of my article on A2Zsports.com, recapping Willis's situation, was that maybe we shouldn't be surprised that he's taking these jumps, because of what we knew he was when they drafted him and where he's at in his career now. And I capped it off by just saying, Malik, you have my attention. You have my attention. Before training camp, I would be looking at my phone when Malik Willis was taking training camp reps. Like, he's written off by a lot of media, a lot of fans. And I'm now more intrigued to at least say, you have my attention. Like, let's see what you've got. And I'm entertaining. It will be entertaining to watch him in the preseason, and like interesting at least. It's not Malik's in, turn off the preseason game if you're a fan watching at home. I think there's hey, let's see what he's got.
I'll say something, and I don't know if this is something that we can gauge, but I believe the Titans will have some of the higher rated preseason second half television broadcasts of anybody in the NFL.
I mean, Cloudhouse says he can't wait for preseason games. And
Yeah.
Normally preseason games are, you turn it on once all the interesting players are out by the middle of the second quarter, you kind of turn it off and you're like, all right, I'm not, or it's just it's on and it's like the background music to what you're doing elsewhere.
Preseason games are like the over-under to watch, or do you finish the first quarter or not?
Yeah. No, for real.
I think the Titans will be the first half this year. I think they'll get more eyeballs deeper into preseason games because of Malik Willis.
I mean, but it could be the entire game. If Will Levis and the starters are playing the first quarter, and then you say Mason Rudolph gets the second quarter, maybe Malik Willis gets the second half, and maybe you're just sitting there and you are intrigued enough by what Malik Willis has flashed in training camp practices to see, is this different from the guy that I've seen the last 2 years? And I think we'll know pretty soon. We'll know within 2 weeks here whether or not this development from Malik Willis is a flash in the pan on the practice field or something legitimate that is different about this iteration of Malik Willis.
Yep, absolutely. A to Z Sports here live on this Monday. Sam, it's time to do it. We need to go ahead and get to the age game where everybody has won except for me.
Right.
And technically Zach hasn't won either because Zach hasn't attempted. Maybe we'll flip that back on him. If I can get on the damn board before the regular season when Zach returns to Monday shows, then maybe we have to flip it around and see how long Zach can go without getting something correct. But age game to start here. But first, Wilson County Hyundai is where you need to turn for all of your car needs. Make them a part of your new car buying process. See them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Check out our friend Payne Bone and what they have to offer. Once again, wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Sam, I've got the chat hidden per the rules of the age game. So what do you have for me today? See if I can guess the age game, because currently this is an old leaderboard, so it's not up to date. But Jack is on the leaderboard. I believe Orlando Jones is ×2 these days. I do have it all.
Lucas Burtz has a 2X,
right.
But we've got this noted. We just need Zach Bingham to update the dang board.
It's in my text with Zach. So Jack, Orlando, Lucas are all winners since that update. So Sam, it's up to you. What we got here today?
All right. Well, listen, I saw a movie on Friday night that I told Jack it was, we had a little bit of a movie talk, and I watched Deadpool times Wolverine, Deadpool and Wolverine. It was awesome. First of all, go see it, and everybody go see it. It was so. I'm not an MCU guy. I'm not a superhero movie guy. It was so good. So highly recommend. And so then I was like, let me give him Ryan Reynolds. But then I remembered, we did have a request from the chat a couple of weeks ago that said, why are we not doing women? Why are there no women in the age game? And I realized, hey, I hadn't picked a woman for the age game. And maybe it's because guessing a woman's age is not something that
this is very dangerous. You're putting me in a bad spot.
Well, we don't know these women. We don't know these women, so we can go ahead and fire it off.
We did Courtney Cox, though. We did Courtney Cox right after Matthew Perry's unfortunate passing.
Yeah, it was Rashid who said the comment about the women. So I will go to a woman, and I will go to Mrs. Deadpool. How old is Blake Lively?
Okay. This is so tough.
How old is American actress Blake Lively?
I have two ages in mind. I don't know which to go with. And I'm so bad at actors. So bad. Like, I don't have like a reference point of like a Blake Lively movie in a certain year or a certain time in my life that I could attach to find out how. I don't have like that for this. I'm going to say Blake Lively.
Are you not a Gossip Girl fan?
No.
All right, I'm just saying.
Was she in Gossip Girl?
Yeah, she's like the leading Gossip Girl.
Oh, was Gossip Girl in I think that was on when I was in college. Like
I don't know when you were in college.
2008, 9, 10, 11, 12.
I can't tell you because I don't want to give anything away, but.
All right, I'm going to stick with 42. Blake Lively, 42 years old.
Okay. Does it change your answer? Like this, you're locked into 42.
Yeah.
How are you feeling if I tell you that Ryan Reynolds, her husband, is 47?
I mean, okay. I locked into 42. I don't know.
No, I'm just saying that.
It makes me.
Does that make you nervous? Does that make you feel decent?
Because you're giving me extra information that might not be relevant at all. Does it matter how old they are in Hollywood? Probably not.
Maybe.
I don't think it matters.
All right. Well,
ask Robert De Niro.
Let's go ahead and go to the chat here. David Brown said 43 was his guess. So one above you. 43 is incorrect. Kenny said 38, which is incorrect. 47 is incorrect. Rashid said 37. We got a wide range here, which is incorrect. Bork said 42. He's with you. It's incorrect.
God damn it.
40 is incorrect. 43 is incorrect. We got people saying all
Can I tell you what my other number was? Because I said I had two numbers. My other number was 41.
She's not 41 either. As a matter of fact, the first guess from Anne is the correct guess. She's 36.
What?
Blake Lively is 36. 11 years younger than Ryan Reynolds. Surprised me a little bit.
I guess she just started acting when she was 20 or younger.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is what Gossip Girl is.
I know, but half the damn time, you have 25-year-olds playing teenagers, that's what threw me off.
That is true. Yeah, that is true.
No, you know what? Did you ever watch the OC, Sam? Are you an OC guy?
But I do know what you're referring to is you look at I have seen One Tree Hill, for example.
Yeah.
The One Tree Hill cast is 10 years apart. Some of the actors are 10 years apart and they're all playing high schoolers. And you're like, what the heck? What are we doing?
Ben McKenzie was 25 playing a 16-year-old. They had to shave every day. I did not even realize.
She was in the Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds 13 years ago. She did the Sisterhood back in 2005. So
these are things I've never seen her.
So I guess she started at 17 back in 2005. So she was a young start to her career.
See,
So
that's why I don't
congratulations
like
to Ann Herndon with the win.
Was Ann previous on the board? I feel like Ann might have been up there already. Damn it, Ann's a second-time winner too.
Another 2x.
I'm in bad shape here. Bad shape. All right. That is it for us.
This is a great point by Ann. You would have known this if you would have known that she's best friends with Taylor Swift, and they're similar. Taylor Swift is 34, I believe.
Taylor Swift
and
is
so
my age.
They're similar in age. Yeah. Should have thought that one through, huh?
Yeah.
So in your defense, when I did this, when I come up with these, I think, what do I think they are? And I try and find one that's like somewhat surprising, but not like super impossible.
Right.
I had her right above 40, like at like 41 or 42 as well. That was kind of where my thought went.
Because I was thinking if Gossip Girl was like 15 years ago, I could definitely see a 26, 27-year-old playing a role like that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was my math.
It's not a bad guess. It's not a bad guess. And I just going to say, Blake Lively, you don't look older than 36 at all.
No, this was a longevity of career guess, not anything, right?
Yeah, she doesn't look a day over 30. So
not at all. Not at all. All right. That is it for us on this Monday. Gonna have a fast show tomorrow. So we need to get there as fast as we can, as close to 8 o'clock as we can tomorrow, because practice starts at 8:30. So Sam and I hopefully have some new technology in the mail coming for a very fast show for tomorrow's show pre-practice. But make sure you hit that like button for us. Like the show before you go and subscribe to all of our channels and all of our content so we can keep throwing that out there day by day. And we'll see you guys later on. Buck Rising Live tonight, A to Z Sports Primetime. Catch you later. Appreciate it as always.